My older son was many things as a child. He was smart. He was funny. He was inquisitive and extremely physical. He was also stubborn. I'm talking professional level stubborn. Trying to get my son to do a chore or clean up after himself was an exercise in futility. He could dig his heels in and hold on with a tenacity that could move mountains. But that tenacity wouldn't move mountains of dirty laundry because he wasn't picking that crap up. I could nag, plead, threaten, and punish, and he wouldn't do what he was asked to do. I grounded him, took away TV privileges, confiscated his electronic devices. I made him stay in his room with nothing but a book, and he would outweight me every time. I'm a stubborn person, but I am a rank amateur compared to my son. I had reached a point where I was ready to admit that he would probably always live in a mountain of filth. I was ready to wave the white flag and call a truce. I was willing to turn a blind eye to the chaos that was his bedroom and pretend that it didn't smell like a gerbil cage. Then something miraculous and unexpected happened. He was around 10 years old when I decided it was time to have the talk with him. I didn't want to talk to my kid about sex, but it's something we parents have to deal with. I figured on the comfort scale, it would fall somewhere between my annual performance review at work and a root canal. I was heading into this territory blind as I grew up in a household where sex was not discussed, not ever. I learned everything I know about sex on the mean streets of Dry Ridge, Kentucky. I wanted it to be different for my children. I didn't want them to feel uncomfortable with asking questions about sex or feel ashamed of themselves. I wanted an open dialogue. My son, however, did not. When I approached the subject of sex, I saw something that I had never seen before. He wavered. His defiant exterior didn't crumble, but I did see it weaken. My brazen boy, who was never afraid to argue, stopped in his tracks. He got a confused look that was quickly replaced by horror. My son, who always had something to say, was at a loss for words. I jumped on that opportunity the way I jump on hot waffles and bacon. I am not proud of what happened next. I didn't want to push the subject of sex on my child. I didn't want him to have any of the hang-ups I've had to work through, so I backed off. What I should have said was, okay, Zach, we don't have to rush this. I just want you to know that I am here to answer any questions you have about sex. You have nothing to worry about, and I will always be available when you are comfortable discussing sex with me. I want you to know that you'll be changing physically, and you will probably get misinformation from your friends. If you have any questions about anything, come to me and we'll talk about it. What I said was, that's fine. We don't have to talk about sex. Instead, you can unload the dishwasher. I didn't have to ask a second time. It was like baby angels riding on unicorns had parted the curtains of his defiance. Glorious light streamed through my kitchen. as the sound of him putting the dishes away played in my ears. For the next year, I got that kid to do all of his chores by giving him a choice between two things. Either complete the chore, or we could talk about sex. Eventually, that tactic no longer worked. But for a whole year, that kid had a clean bedroom, and I didn't spend half my waking hours nagging a fifth grader to get his homework done. It's also possible that my son now has some weird hang-ups and disturbing associations between sex and major kitchen appliances. I didn't research the best way to approach the subject of sex with my child, but I'm reasonably sure that my practice was not recommended. Zach is 27 years old now, and I'm sure he's had all of his sex questions answered, and if not, well, I am no longer willing to discuss his sex life with him. In fact, if he tried, I would probably volunteer to unload his dishwasher.